Today we will be reading The Lady with the Lamp, Florence Nightingale, by Michael Green, and it's illustrated by Christine Sora. Now, this isn't in our normal reading book if you were here at school. It is in a reading book where we combine reading and social studies. So this is kind of a neat selection. This is from the genre that we haven't talked about before. It is a biography. A biography. Now, a biography is the story about someone's life that is a real person. So Florence Nightingale is a real person, and this is a story about her life, so it's a biography. Now, there's some certain elements that happen with a biography. Biography is written about a person's life by another person. A biography tells important information about that person's life. It tells how the person talks or feels and thinks about different things. A biography may be the story of a person's whole life or only a part of their life. And the events are told in the order that they happened. A biography includes the most important events in a person's life. So The Lady with the Lamp, and I want to talk about a lamp before we get started, because I know you all know what a lamp is. I'm sure you have them in your house. And we know that lamps give off light, but they've changed quite a bit over the years. And the lamp in the title is not like the lamp that you plug in the wall. There was no electricity back when this happened and when the story happened. There was no electricity. So the lamp in this selection is more like what we might call a lantern. It has a handle so you can carry it around the room since there were no batteries either. And people used candles or oil to create light. So in order to see at night, people would hold this lamp and carry it around so they could see. All right, let's take a look at the comprehension strategy that we're going to use, and that is summarizing. And summarizing allows the reader to check their understanding as they read. And good readers use this strategy to keep track of what they are reading and to focus their minds on the most important information and the key details in the text. If there are any gaps in your understanding, you can go back and you can reread that part to make sure that you're understanding all of the things that you read. So let's start. Long ago, in 1820, a baby girl was born. Her parents named her Florence. Mr. and Mrs. Nightingale were very wealthy. Florence and her sisters grew up in a large house in England. Florence loved helping people in need. She knew she wanted to be a nurse when she grew up. Her parents were unhappy about that. They wanted her to marry a rich man. Women from families like Florence's did not become nurses. So good readers summarize and check that they understand the key details. They put that information they learned into their own words. So far, we learned about a woman. Her name was Florence Nightingale, who was born in 1820. That's about 200 years ago. She grew up in England, and her parents wanted her to marry a rich man. That's what most women from families like hers did. But she had different plans. She wanted to be a nurse so she could help people. Young, wealthy women stayed at home and went to parties. Florence felt shy and awkward at parties. She felt more comfortable when helping others. Mr. and Mrs. Nightingale told Florence she could not become a nurse, but Florence was stubborn. She left her home to go to Germany. There, she went to school to become a nurse. All right, so these 2 pages give us a lot of information about what Florence had to do to become a nurse. This is a good place to stop and summarize to recall some of the challenges that she faced. Now, her parents expected her to stay home and go to parties. She did not like going to parties. She felt better when she was helping someone, and her parents told her she could not become a nurse. But that didn't stop Florence. She wanted to become a nurse, so she went to Germany, and while she was in Germany, She went to school to learn how to become a nurse. Florence returned to England and began her work as a nurse. In 1854, England went to war. They fought in a place called Crimea. The soldiers needed medical care, but not enough supplies or nurses were available. Florence gathered many other nurses to help these men. The injured and sick soldiers stayed in very dirty rooms. Florence showed the army how to properly clean the rooms. She and the other nurses took care of the soldiers. More soldiers lived because they received good care. All right, we've learned about Florence's work as a nurse now. She took care of soldiers and showed the army how to keep the rooms clean. Keeping those areas clean helped the soldiers stay alive. I think I'm missing the beginning part described on these pages. How did she start helping soldiers? Let me go back and reread it on page 16. Let's see. The soldiers need medical care, not as supplies. Oh, I understand now. After Florence returned to England, she started work as a nurse. Then England went to war that needed supplies and nurses. Florence went to help these soldiers who went to war in Crimea. That's where she kept the soldiers' rooms clean. All right. So there was so much information on these 2 pages, I kind of forgot the first part. So I had to go back and take another look. And that's okay, because that's why summarizing helps you. At night, Florence walked among the injured. She carried a lamp so she could see them. The soldiers were grateful for her. They called her the lady with the lamp. She taught others about the importance of clean water, fresh air, and supplies. Keeping patients warm and dry in cold weather helped too. She also felt that light was healthier than darkness. Now, we've learned many facts about Florence Nightingale's work as a nurse. Let's summarize the important information and the key details. Florence carried a lamp so she could see the soldiers that she cared for. They called her the lady with the lamp. That's probably where the title came from, right, in this biography. She shared her knowledge about the importance of keeping everything clean for the health of the soldiers, and she took good care of people, making sure they stayed warm and dry. She thought that light helped people keep healthy too. Florence wrote about her work. She wanted to continue to help the sick and injured by teaching others how to properly care for them. Many people who want to learn about nursing read her books. Above all, Florence believed in treating sick or injured people with kindness. The lady with the lamp became an example for nurses everywhere. All right, we have reached the end of our biography, and we can summarize these last 2 pages. These pages give us information about how her life and her work helped other people. She wrote about her work. She taught other people how to care for the sick and injured. She showed how kindness can help make people better too. And people look up to Florence Nightingale as an example of how nurses should act. So that is how you do summarizing. And it works very good with things like biographies that give you a lot of information that you have to take in. There are a couple of words that I wanted to talk to you about before you go. And the first one is nurse. And I'm sure most of you know what a nurse is.
Nurse, a person who is trained to care for sick or injured people. The nurse will help you if you feel sick. Nurse.
So a nurse is someone who is trained to help care for sick or injured people. And I'm sure you've seen nurses before and had a chance to talk to nurses. Let's go to the next one. And this is the word young. This is the word young. And young means that you're in the early part of your life. All right, let's take a look at young.
Young, being in the early part of life. The girls are young. They are 6 years old. Young.
All right, the girls in the pictures were 6 years old. They are young, just like you are young. And the story, the biography that we read, talked about the early part of Florence Nightingale's life when she was young. All right. I will try to include this in your McGraw-Hill app so that you can go back and you can take another look at The Lady with the Lamp.